What if Nigeria never existed? I'm not talking about a failed government or a bad leadership. I mean the name itself. Who named Nigeria? What does it even mean? And if this country was never meant to exist the way it does today, then maybe, just maybe, the chaos we live isn't just accidental. It was designed. Because before the Constitution, before the independent flag, and long before our borders, there was a decision made far away from here that still controls our lives till today. And that is where our story begins. Have you ever stopped to ask, who named Nigeria? Or why we've been forced to live under a constitution we never wrote? Today, I want us to go back, not in 1960, not even in 1914, but the very idea of Nigeria itself. Because, like I said, maybe, just maybe, the chaos we face today, from banditry to secession movement, didn't start now. It started from how the country was created. By who? This is not about politics. It's about truth. The truth they never taught us. In 1897, a British journalist named Flora Shaw sat in her home in London and wrote an article for the Times newspaper. In that article, she looked at all the territories around River Niger and she gave them one name, Nigeria. She wasn't from Africa. She wasn't from here. But that one word, Nigeria, it struck. A few years later, she married a British colonial officer, Lord Frederick Lugard, who would go on to become the Governor General of that land. Together, their story shaped us. Think about it. The name that defines over 200 million people today comes from a foreign journalist who had never lived here and a colonial administrator whose job was just to make the region easier to control. In 1914, Lord Lugard merged the northern and southern protectorates into one country called the Amalgamation of Nigeria. But this union was not for unity. It was for administrative convenience and for profit. A way to make colonial rule more efficient. The north was rich in land and the people but lacked funds. The south was richer in trade and taxes. So Britain joined them both, not to build a nation, but to balance their colonial budget. Can you see that? That is how Nigeria was born. Not from the will of the people, but from the convenience of British Empire. And yet, something amazing happened years later, between 1954 and 1966. Nigeria had what was called regional government, north, east, and west, each with power to manage their own affairs. The western region, under Chief Obafemi Awolowo, introduced free education and built Cocoa House in Ibadan, the tallest building in West Africa that time. The eastern region, under Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, grew industries and established the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. The north, the north region, led by Ahmadu Bello, expanded agriculture and built Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. It was competition, but healthy competition. Everyone was growing, everyone was building, and then it ended. In 1966, the military took over, and the very first thing they did was to abolish regional government. They centralized everything under one command, Decree 34, called the Unification Decree. That is how they killed the federal structure that worked. From that moment, all power and resources began flowing to one place, Abuja. Then came the Civil War, the coup, then the so-called democracy that we claim we are practicing today. But what we call democracy today still runs on a constitution we never created. The 1999 constitution begins with the word, "We the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria." But you and I, we never wrote it. It was drafted under a military regime and imposed on Nigeria. No referendum, no people's voice. That is why, till today, we still live with a system that doesn't even reflect who we are. So when you hear about banditry, kidnapping, IPOB, obedient movement, or Oduduwa movement, don't just see chaos. See country that was forced into one shape, a shape that never truly fits. Regions that worked independently now fight for survival under a broken center. And that is why some people are saying, maybe we should go back, not to division, but to true federalism, where region manages its own destiny. Because unity without fairness isn't unity, it is control. So, what if Nigeria never existed? That is the question. Maybe we would have grown differently. Maybe we would have competed instead of complained. Maybe we would have been many but stronger. But here we are today, one name, one flag, still searching for the meaning of the name behind it all. The truth is, Nigeria was never built for Nigerians. It was only built for the few who controlled it. If not, why is it that Nigerian government always spend billions in dollars on the health sector, but yet none of them has ever committed themselves to be treated in any Nigerian hospital? What about the power sector? Aso Rock is even using solar system and they want us to have electricity. Is it built to work for Nigerians or for the few that rule the country? But now it's on us. Not just to rebuild, but to redefine it, to decide once and for all what being in Nigeria truly means. Because if they could name us without knowing us, then it is time we know ourselves enough to rename our future. The question is, how long will we keep living inside someone else's idea of who we are? Let me know what you think. I am Brown Child, your social media watchdog, and this is Brown Child Media. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video if you believe truth still matters. See you in the next video.